Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We warmly welcome you to the third day of the world's first virtual Implant-Expo 2020. We hope you all have been enjoying this continuous marathon of power-packed lectures delivered by some of the finest speakers from all across the globe. Now we have a very special speaker all the way from Germany. The speaker has a personal connection in India. The last time he was in Telangana, he was fascinated with everything that happens around in India, the food, the culture, the heritage, and of course the people. And since then, he's always been this one contributor to any event that either takes place in India and all across the globe. He's one of those passionate speakers who strives and who loves to share his information to whoever wants to learn from him. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about our next speaker, Mr. Andreas Halamoda, all the way from Germany. Sir, it's my privilege, a pleasure, and an honor to invite you on behalf of Team DentistChannel.Online to the world's biggest and the first ever virtual implant expo. Ladies and gentlemen, a short introduction about our speaker. Mr. Andreas is a science graduate from Germany. Currently, he's working in Argon Medical Productions, Germany as a product manager. He is well versed with dental CBCT technology and its applications. He holds a diploma in advanced implantology and allogenic bone grafting. He's also an appliance expert for tapered connections as well as allogenic bone graft. He's an appliance advisor for digital implant treatment, surgery, software use, and prosthesis. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting to you, Andreas Halamoda live.
So, very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Ruben, for the nice, very nice reception. I'm glad to be back in India and also in the Middle East, North Africa as well. I have always enjoyed my visits there. And first of all, I want to thank you to have the opportunity to talk about the work we are doing here in Germany. Of course, I have prepared a presentation for you. We will be talking about simplified implant prosthetic solutions. And to show you a little bit of the content that I will be talking about, I have here a brief introduction about the company of our group, the Argon Group, and our main product. And then we will discuss the general need for precise and simplified impression taking, which is mandatory for good prosthetics. I will show you our advanced prosthetic solutions for really easy handling and sustainability of the implant success. We will talk, of course, about single crowns and screw retained dentures. That is very important. I will also provide you with a summary and a take-home message. So, but first of all, let's begin where we are from. As Ruben said, I'm all the way from Germany. We are sitting right here where you can see the red spot. It's almost in the heart of Europe, not exactly, but we are close to Frankfurt Airport. It's 45 minutes. So I would love to invite every spectator here now listening to us, whenever they have a long stay over at the Frankfurt Airport, as soon as traveling is allowed again, of course, yeah, come and visit us. Yeah, it's a beautiful place. This is the landmark of our hometown. It's the Mice Tower, because we have one of Europe's largest rivers running right by our place. Yeah, and then afterwards we can accommodate you at this very, very nice castles. So we have 28 castles nearby, and we are a UNESCO protected World Heritage Site or area. So this is where we get our inspiration from, also for our products. And to speak a little bit about the group, you can see the many countries we are present. We are fast growing in the Middle East and in India, North Africa as well, Turkey, as you can see, Eastern Europe, but our main markets are the United States of America and of course Germany. where we have been founded in 1990. And since 1999, we have our very own implant system. And the special thing is all our products come from our house, are developed by us, and they carry our distinctive philosophy. We are among the top 25 implant producers in the world, and but we consider ourselves still as slim and very focused on the product. Concerning me, I have joined the company in 2011. Then I was, I'm in sales business for a long time, but dentistry was new to me. I was always fascinated by medicine. And then I became the promotion as a key account manager for Germany in 2015. And I have, yes, also some worldwide importance as product manager, which I became in 2019. As I have a long experience talking to our customers, not only doctors, but also dental labs. And they are very, very important if we want to be really successful. And this is our very distinctive product. It's the K3 Pro implant. It's, I would say, very distinctive thing about it is that it's a really sustainable implant, maybe the most sustainable implant in the world. It keeps you trouble-free. So this is our philosophy, free your mind. Just briefly, the product characteristics before we go to our main topic, because this will be important later on when talking about prosthetics. We have a subcrestal positioning of the implant. We have a sloping shoulder that is completely surface treated. So the idea is that we have a bony seal around the top of the implant. Yeah? We have a very steep and long Morse taper conical connection with 1.5 degree. This is very long. It's like a cold welding. And of course, we have an osteoactive surface for fast osseointegration. And we produce, of course, from pure titanium grade 4. And soon you will see, when we will see us advertising, to change our slogan from the peri-protect design to the new stable tissue concept, because protection against peri-implantitis is much more than just that. We want aesthetics. Yeah, we want long-term successful results. And the most important thing is to have stable tissue. Yeah, hard tissue, soft tissue. So this is our main focus. And just briefly to show you what we are talking about, you can see here, I'm a little bit in the way. For example, a long-term study for a 5-year-old implant with its crown. And we are not only keeping the bone, as you can see, we're almost gaining bone. We are also keeping very good soft tissue, as you can see in this pic. So this is what it's all about. But when speaking about implantology, I mean, there are many implants. They come in different sizes and shapes. Many of them do osseointegrate well nowadays. The general principle, when you want to deliver perfection and to deliver solutions, it's sometimes not always possible to even deliver a solution. This means prosthetics, yes. And with a very special approach to prosthetics, you can free your mind here as well. Now, the reason why I'm speaking, why prosthetics is very important, you can see here, we have a huge range. I mean, many companies claiming to have a good implant, they fail when it comes to deliver prosthetics. So as we have a very technical approach to implantology, and as we are led by an engineer, not by a real salesman, we strive to deliver the best prosthetic solution for every case. So here you can see how many abutments we can provide if you want to have really the perfect solution. Yeah, but how to deal with it? It looks complicated, but it's much more easier than you think. But to deliver perfection in prosthetics, we have to successfully cope with some challenges. Yeah. So the first thing is, of course, to transfer the precise position of the implant on the model. Yeah. Which means I will be talking a lot about doing impressions. You have to remove also the transfer post in the impression tray from the mouth. This is not always easy. This can be challenging, especially if we have divergence in implant placement. These can be extreme. You will see, sure you will know what I'm talking about. Also, this is something specific to conical connected implants. You have to determine the precise depth of the abutment position in the implant to make it easy not to lose any information for the lab about the height of the crown of the whole prosthetics. And then a topic that is getting more and more important, especially in Germany, is biological dentistry. So we from Argon Dental claim that we have with the K3 Pro system an implant system that strictly follows the rules of biological implantology. Yeah. And this means the one abutment, one time concept whenever possible. So this means for us, or this is what I will be talking about the next 30 minutes, take the impression on abutment level, in case it's possible, but there are many, many good ways that it's possible, and I will show you that. Nothing is as easy to handle and also as precise. You know? And we have made some very good, I would say, research on it. First of all, a little flashback on doing a standard impression. You can see on your left-hand side, standard impression posts. They have a little shoulder where they sit more or less on the edge of the implant. Yeah, it's because to really transfer the depth of the implant, we also have a hex at the very bottom, yeah, that gives the index for the dental technician. So where to place a preform abutment, where you have that should not rotate, of course. So we are doing this, transferring this by a hex, and we are doing this pretty well. But the problem remains that sitting on a shoulder and sitting in a hex without a conical connection leaves room for slight movements of the impression post. So information can be lost on the way from the implant in the mouth to the lab analog, to the implant analog in the lab. Yeah. We do, if you look to the right, the ones on the left are our open tray impression posts. We, of course, also have closed tray impression posts. You can see this on the right. So if you have a thick and strong gingiva, that is also very well if you have it, but this can be a hurdle when removing the impression, when removing the post. So we have to be aware of this fact as well. And then the biggest problem, of course, that you can see, if you have a huge divergence in implant placement, as you can see on the model in the middle. In this case, it's simply not possible to make a proper impression. Now, when speaking about taking the impression on abutment level, the first abutment I want to look at with you is the so-called rapid fix abutment. Because at my time, the December I've spent in India, I have learned that there are many, many toothless jaws, many cases where you want screw-retained solutions on maybe 4 implants, 5 implants, 6 implants, according to the principle of that Dr. Malot introduced. The rapid fix abutment is our standard abutment for that. Yeah, we have a screw retained solution for the denture, and we can, this is the great thing, we can angulate them up to 40 degrees, and we have different gingiva heights. And if you, generally speaking, when having a case like this, you can see it here on the model, it's very, very difficult to take the impression, as you can see it here on the axis of this implant, yeah, which is typical for the number 4 position in the lower jaw. Yeah. So this is why we say what we want to do is to take the impression directly here on the level of the abutment, and you have the perfect interface. I will show you how this works. Oh, by the way, yes, here you can see an image how the situation with for example, in this case, a bar construction looks later on. So we also have adapters here for the bar to deliver. But how are we doing it that it gets really precise? I have here brought some pictures of a surgery with you. Yeah, this was a very, this is a case, as we do not have that many cases in Germany with completely toothless jaws. The main principle that we use these rapid fix abutments on six implants in the upper jaw is immediate after extraction. We are doing a lot of immediate placements after extraction. I will show you later how this works with our implant system. And so when the doctor has decided within the surgery already which abutments to use, this makes it very easy to make a temporary restoration, because most of the patients are demanding a temporary restoration when they leave the clinic. So here we have here he has chosen the abutments successfully. And here we have the impression posts. The impression posts here, these are for open tray impression, and they are sitting directly on the interface of the abutment itself. And I will show this to you briefly. For example, here I'm going to show this to you. We also can do this with a closed tray impression. Yeah. So this is how it looks like. We have a transfer cap mounted on the abutments after they are in place, and we have here this closed tray transfer caps. You can splint them if you like. Splinting them over a long distance gives some additional safety. It's not necessary. You still have here an individual tray. You can also use a standard tray. The general principle remains the same. So when you have taken the impression, of course, the transfer caps with the closed tray impression will remain within the impression itself. And there you go. So I will switch now to the what I've prepared here for you. You can see here the model for the rapid fix abutments. You can see here very nicely how the angulation of the implants are. So imagine this model to have standard impression posts. It would be impossible to do an impression here due to the axis of the impression posts. So here you see but this is the situation we want the dental technician to see directly here, to work directly here on the abutment level. So what I'm doing right now, I'm picking here the transfer caps. Fix them here. I'm taking the second one as well. Like you can see here. So this is step one. We have positioned the transfer cap on top of the abutment. Then we have here our impression caps for the closed tray transfer. Like you can see here. And this is now the situation where you come with your tray and take the impression directly. So the dental technician receives then the tray with the impression posts, and there comes the very comfortable aspect. He just needs to remove. The doctors remove after taking the impression cap. And there's the other vital device I have for you. You can see it here. It's just an abutment analog. It's not an implant analog, it's just the abutment analog. This transfers here, this is all the dental technician needs, because he can put it right into the model. He can make right the model with it. And for him, for reponing the transfer, back to the model is very simple. He just mounts here the transfer caps back on the abutment analog, puts it back here into the transfer cap, and then he makes the model. It's very simple, very, very simple way. Instead of, it's not important for the dental technician to know this position. The only position he needs to know is the platform. And this is how we can achieve it here in a very, very easy way. So for all of these solutions on screw retained solutions on 4 or 6 implants with a big divergence, this is the best way to go. So we're taking now a look to a completely, to an alternative, for example, that I just want to introduce. Sometimes, you know, for the rapid fix abutment that I've shown you, you need a little space. Moving back here to my work cam, you can see it here, that the cylinder still needs some space in terms of height. Yeah. So in the case where you are due to anatomics very, very limited in height, you can switch to this other abutment. This is the so-called MBA abutment, multi-base abutment. This is really very, very low. I think this is one of the solutions, the lowest one in terms of height on the whole market. Yeah. You can see how it looks here. But also here we have 3 different gingiva heights to deliver, but of course we cannot deliver an angulation anymore. Yeah? This would be a case for digital guided surgery, that the 4 implants have to be perfectly aligned. But later on I will show you a case where you can use both of them. You can use the low multi-base abutments, but also here the rapid fix abutments that allow these angulations of up to 40 degrees. Yeah. So, but the general principle is the same. Take the abutment, take the impression on the abutment level. Yeah. Closed tray here, open tray there. So, but now I would like to talk about the whole different case where we will not talk about screw retain solution. We will talk about cemented crowns and cemented bridges, which is still standard for single tooth restoration or multiple tooth restorations. For example, when offering this abutments, we have it's a preformed abutment. Yeah, you don't need to individually prepare it. And as you can see here, we deliver it also in different shapes and angulations. This one here is, for example, for a very thick gingiva of 3 millimeters. Here we have the version of 1.5 millimeters, but an angulation of 10 degrees. And there are really many. So what I'm suggesting to do also on this kind of abutment, a closed tray impression, but directly on the abutment, without a transfer post, without a 2-piece or 1-piece implant analog for the lab. And the things that you need here as well, it's the closed tray impression cap that I've shown you before, and also here the lab analog, a little bit similar to the one I've showed you before, but without a screw channel, because this is meant for cemented crowns. And also, of course, we do need gingiva fullness, because according to the one abutment, one time principle, we want, after doing the impression directly on the abutment level, we want to leave it here in the mouth. And this is the situation, how it looks like here. We have 3 implants. We want a cemented bridge. Yeah. So according to what we have chosen as the abutment, we can take the impression then directly on this abutment itself. And this is what I'm going to show you right now. So you can see this model here. You can see here on this model, it's a single tooth. I have here placed a dummy implant, and as you can see, maybe with the help of a little tool, that is our abutment removal tool, you can tell by this tool the axis where the implant is actually placed. So if you would have a preformed abutment without an angulation, you would run into issues here. This would not be possible. So I have chosen here, as you can see, an abutment with a 1.5, with 15 degrees angulation, yeah, at a 1.5 gingiva height. And you can see this nicely aligns with the tooth. Yeah, just imagine there wouldn't would be a gingiva model. We don't have, it's a very simple model, so there's no gingiva on it. So after placing this abutment here, the general principle is the same like you have seen before. You just place the impression cap. I hope you can hear it here over the microphone, that this has a very firm snap. So you take the impression directly on this situation. So when removing the impression tray, leave the abutment as it is, because we have a recommended torque of the large diameter of the implants of 30 Newton centimeters. Leave this and give the patient here a peak cap. This is here a preformed peak cap that nicely fits directly over this abutment. Like this. So this is how you can send the patient home. Oh, it's not sitting down. No. Now it's into position. So when you bring the impression to the lab, all the dental technician needs to do, again here, same principle like I've shown you before. He has here this abutment analog, and he can easily repost it into the transfer cap that is within the impression. Very, very easy, very precise, and thanks to not touching the abutment again, very biological. Now, speaking about this aspect, as you might remember the pic from the very beginning, in case you have an issue with a strong divergence of the implant placement, and there's no accessibility for the standard impression posts. The same thing you can do is, for example, in our case, we do deliver these preform abutments as well without a conical connection, just for temporary. Yeah, we have them angulated in 15 degrees, and these abutments can also help you to take an impression. Yeah, like with an I would say with an impression post. They also serve as impression post. As you can see here in this example, yeah, we have here the axis of the implant, so it's very diverging from the other implant. But we have here used this abutment here, these preform abutments with a construction of the temporary abutment, so without conical connection. So they serve well here as impression posts. So here the axis to remove the transfer cap is in the same direction like the other implant. So this is also a very clever way. I mean, sometimes you have to have a divergence in placing the implant because of the anatomics. And with this situation, you can very well deal with it. The thing you need to consider is that you need this this abutment, this temporary abutment, again as your transfer post back for the dental technician, back for the model, yeah, in the same direction, of course. But then this is also a very good alternative. So simplifying prosthetics for perfect results does also mean, of course, digital solutions for digital prosthetics. On the German market, this is getting really, really important. And as you've seen in the beginning, we have a broad range of solutions for that. And I would just love to introduce them briefly for you. On the left-hand side, you can see the standard tie base that we have in 2 diameters according to the inner well of our implant, with an anti-rotation device, of course. And with by the help of this philosophy, you can produce nice solutions with an zirconium emergence profile, like we have imaged here. So you can make the abutment more or less in 2 stages. You can cement the crown on gingiva level, but have below the gingiva level a very, very nice emergence profile. This works very, very well digitally planned with these tie bases. But of course, there are cases where you need an individual abutment. In this case, you need a digital milling. We are doing this with these cat abutments that you can see right next to it. In very complicated cases due to anatomics, where you need a strong angulation of 40 degrees and more, we can also provide you with the so-called glue base that you can see next to it. You also always have to work in 2 stages to provide it with the glue base. Also, we have the flexi base. That is, I'm hiding it right now. This is the flexi base that you can see here. We use the flexi base when it comes to a screw retained crown that needs to be very, very, very long due to periodontal defects of the jaw. Yeah. So in this case, the standard tie bases, like you can see on the left-hand side, they are too short to cope with the lateral forces that are occurring. Yeah, that's why we have invented them as well. And the 2 abutments that you can see right now above me, these are for CEREC, for the use of CEREC. This is also, I don't need to mention what CEREC is doing. It's getting more and more popular. And to make it easy, the first idea we had is to have a scan post, like that you can see here, this triangular shaped scan post that works for all the abutment designs that we have for for digital processing. So simplifying means also that you don't need a huge range of products to buy. Yeah, you can simplify it. We simplified it by just using 1 impression post. Yeah, and then we also have the 2-piece analog. The 2-piece analog that you can see here, in case where you cannot work on abutment level, where you need an implant analog. It's easier with our cold welded conical connection, not always the need to release the abutment by a special tool, but just to click it in and out of the model. And by the way, more and more labs in Germany, I would say it's already 5%. Tendency is towards 10%. They do not do the standard clay model like before. They print the model. And with printing the model, then it's very, very helpful to use this 2-piece analog. The simplest way to make it with to make the prosthetic solution with CEREC is, of course, the intraoral scanning with their special intraoral camera. So you can see it here, imaged here, the result that you get when you do intraoral scanning. And our solution is also very simple. We have here these 2 scan bodies. Yeah, these scan bodies are not scan posts. These are scan bodies that we place directly on the abutment. So whenever you have you do your re-entry after gingiva forming, you place the abutment within the patient's mouth, and then you do the scanning directly here with the help of the scan body. So no difference, no error can occur concerning the height of the abutment and its position. Same goes with our standard tie bases. Yeah, we have the same scan body if you like to do the scanning directly intraorally on the mouth. Yeah, you can do this. You can do this also with the help of these scan bodies that also serve as a gingiva former for the tie bases. The interesting thing about our tie bases is, as you can see here, I'm showing them to you, the angulated designs. I think we are one of the very, very few providers who deliver fully digitally working tie bases also in angulated and also in different gingiva heights. Okay, another live demonstration. You can see here the concept that I've been talking about for the CEREC abutment. We have here the scan post, and here you can see the CEREC abutment on this model, nicely placed 1 millimeter subcrestally. Yeah, it's now, imagine this is gingiva, it's placed below the gingiva. So all the doctor needs to do when intraoral scanning is place the scan body. There's also an anti-rotation nose on it, and you can do the intraoral scanning right after. Another very simple way to do it is if you're working here with this impression post, with especially now a new design impression post, also for CEREC, and the idea to do it on the impression post is, some customers asked us, well, Andreas, is it possible to do a scanning directly within the surgery? So when doing the re-entry, when we're talking about a single crown, this is possible, of course. I want to have the abutment with the crown already connected right when doing the re-entry. It's also, under the aspect of biological dentistry, a pretty good idea, but then they need to, you cannot place the abutment right within the surgery with the according force, yeah? Because it needs to heal. So the idea to do this is then to use an impression post, and you can do the intraoral scanning right within the surgery, so that you can already pre-design more or less your crown connected to the abutment. So that's a second way to go. This is brand new already, very innovative. And the other products I have been talking about, you can see here our standard impression post here, the tri-scan body, as we call it, that works with all other kinds of digital prosthetic solutions that we can provide. Yeah, so the triangular shape, yeah, should always be pointing at the direction where you want to have the angulation, in case you need an angulation, or in case you are doing an individual milling, yeah, where more or less the volume of the body should point at. This is a slight hint when doing the scanning. Of course, this tri-scan body, this is also refers to simplifying the whole prosthetics. It's also working intraorally when doing intraoral scan, and also on the lab scanner. I mean, the lab scanner is still standard in Germany. I mean, many clinics are switching to intraoral scanning, but the standard is still that the digital prosthetics is done on the lab with the help of the scan body here, the scan post, sorry. Here next to it, we can see a nice example of an individually milled abutment, you know, milled out of the cat abutment. Here I have the FlexiBase for you. FlexiBase is, the idea of the FlexiBase is not that it remains so long. The idea is you can cut it individually at the height that you need. FlexiBase is also very, very helpful if you want, for example, if you want to do it perfect and prepare an individual gingiva former, you can do it very well on this FlexiBase, because you can cut it anywhere you like. And the base of it, I hope you can see it, is very, very, it's very, very, I would say, fragile. No, it's a slim design, yeah, that you have a lot of space for the emergence profile. right? And the other thing, the last abutment that I've been talking is here the tie base. We call it the KSA abutment. Most of the other companies call it simply the tie base that we deliver as a comparison to other companies in angulations and different gingiva heights. This now, here I have opted for the straight one. And this is where you can also do the intraoral scanning, the intraoral impression taking by using here this scan body that perfectly fits. There's also a little nose against rotation. So this is also a way to go. And then speaking about the simplified prosthetics, I would also like to mention again this click analog. You can see how it works. I have removed here the abutment on the analog, and these two-piece click analog consists here of a sleeve that you can see here. The sleeve is within the model, especially in the printed model. This is very helpful, but it also helps on the standard models. And then the analog itself, and you cannot rotate it. There's just one direction that it fits into the sleeve, and it closes again with a nice and firm snap. So this is also very helpful for the dental technician, because then he is the only thing when one needs to remove the abutment from the model is when he's finished with his design, finished with its crown. It's also a really very helpful tool. Now coming back to the next point, I think, yeah, I need to speed up a little so that I can actually show you what is possible by following this principle. Here you have seen an X-ray of 6 implants in the upper and 4 implants in the lower jaw for a full mouth restoration. You can do later on the bar construction, but you can also use telescopic crowns. We are speaking here about the German crown, as we like to call it, that is individually milled. But of course, screw retained. We need the screw retainment for the temporaries. So this picture was taken immediately after placement. We did immediately choose the abutments. And I have some pics of the surgery here for you. This was the situation after the extraction of the tooth. This has been done immediately after. The doctor has placed the abutments. These are the rapid fix abutments again. Yeah, and you can see here very nice their height, their gingiva height, and also their angulation. And in this position, he has opted for an individual tray with open tray impression. He has done right before he has placed the impression posts, and then the transfer caps, yeah, and then he has done the suturing. So afterwards, the dental technician could immediately make the temporary restoration, and this is how the patient left the clinic. Then I would say I was present at that day. About it was a session of 8 to 9 hours, of course, but mostly due to the efforts the dental technician made. The general principle was very easy, but the important thing was, of course, to do a proper abutment selection. And I've just decided to show again a special tool for you, how easy this is possible. So you have here I have a dummy implant of the 2mm well. I hope the camera focuses well. I have here this 2mm well. Then we have a very helpful device. You can see this here. The spectators in India know this tool already. It has a little flag, 2 flags that indicate the abutments. the angulations, I'm sorry. So you place, imagine the situation within the mouth. You have placed the implant. You've placed the implant and you want to know the right angulation for your abutment. Yeah. We also have here the position of the hex. That makes it easier for the dental technician. So with this instrument, you can decide right after immediately after placing the implant, what angulation to choose for this rapid fix abutment. Yes. And of course, another help to do the proper decision is also to use here the gingiva gauge, where you can tell the height that the abutment needs. Okay, so in this case, we have decided here for this 20-degree abutment with a 1.5 millimeter height. So when deciding by the help of these tools right within the surgery what abutments to choose, you're absolutely ready to take your impression, because the rest of the principle you do already know. You can have here, place here the cap for the transfer cap here. This is the open tray impression, and do the impression directly within the surgery. Leave the abutments like they are. It's the perfect result for long-term success. I think I need to speed up a little, probably.
2 minutes more, sir. Thank you.
2 minutes.
Yes,
2 minutes. Okay. Then I will switch back to the presentation here. So another aspect that I can show you is when working digitally, it can also be very, very helpful to do impression on abutment level. Here we had a case of very old implants. They were from 2002. And as they were K3 Pro from Argon, of course, they had a very, very good gingiva situation, excellent bone keeping quality. So we just wanted to have a new prosthetics. So when choosing the abutment and taking the impression on abutment level, by using the lab analogs, the dental technician can use a digital impression cap on the lab or on the abutment analogs and do a scanning in the lab. So with the scanning on the lab, you can see here, very nice, the interface, how the abutments sit. And by the help of this interface, you can also produce a digitally restored solution for the, in this case, he has decided for 2 bars. And this is, this is how they look from the upper side and from the lower side. So as the take-home message that I have for you, it's the findings, what we know about impression taken on abutment level. We think a superior prosthetics is also very easy. It's also very easy to handle if you do it whenever possible on abutment level, whenever this is available, whenever this is possible. Because just a summary of advantages. There are no movements of transfer post and implant analog. There can be a loss of information to up to 3 or 4 degrees on the way to the lab. And this can be quite a lot. In some cases, in case of you want perfection, this could be too much. You have a 100% precision of the position of the prosthetic platform, of the interface that the dental technician needs. You are strictly following the biological principle of one abutment and one time. We have a very, very easy handling because we don't have the impression post intruding the implant directly. Yeah, it's just the abutment that is supposed to remain there. So it's also very easy to handle, especially on implants with conical connections. I mean, our transfer posts, classic transfer posts, are easy to handle, although we have a very good conical connection. But in many cases of other implant systems, it's also a very good argument. Then another aspect, this is, I would say, also business related. The dentist chooses the abutment and not the dentician, not the technician. It's you as the dentist who chooses the abutment. Yeah. And then this is also very economic because you don't need an implant analog and you don't need an impression post. You just need to have the abutment analogs. This is very easy. But then this brings you back to choosing the right implant system, because this works, of course, that you have an implant system that has the range, the full range, that allows you to have a large diversity, yeah, of gingiva heights and angulations, and also, like I've shown you in the last case, the tools to pick the right abutment already within the surgery. So be very, very, I would say, be wise to choose your system. Yeah, and this is when I bring again our K3 Pro system, because we do not have a huge range of prosthetics. We also have a huge range of implants as well. They come in different screw designs and different lengths and diameters, and also hidden by me very short. So I think I would be done with the presentation so far. I thank you sincerely for your attention, and I hand over the moderation to Ruben again.
Thank you, sir. All right, we begin with the question and answer session. The first question is, so can we use tilted abutments in the D4 bone to match the opposing occlusion after 3 months of osseointegration tenure post the placement of the implant?
So the question was if I would recommend the use of 40 degrees angulated abutments in a grade 4 bone, right? I would recommend, you know, with a 40 degrees is of course extreme. In case you would need 40 degrees angulation, I mean, we have them, we offer them, but I wouldn't, in case you want to have some temporaries where there's some load on the temporary, you can never do it in D4 bone. D4 bone is really fragile, but after 3 months of healing time, if you then perfectly splint the load on the different implants, then I wouldn't worry. We don't have, I did not receive yet any negative reports according from my customers. But this is also a question I would say I'd rather recommend this question to ask to a professor. I can only reflect the view or the experience that I received from my customers.
Thank you, sir. We move to the next question. The question is, in your opinion, which can give the best connection? Is it 2-piece implants or is it a 1-piece implant?
Question is very easy for me to answer. I mean, generally speaking, a 1-piece abutment implant, a 1-piece implant, of course, is you cannot destroy it. It's very, very stable. But with a 1-piece implant, you need a perfect alignment with the tooth. And this is always the issue with the 1-piece implant. I mean, there are so many cases where it's simply not possible to make a 1-piece implant. So that's the reason why we have designed the connection of our 2-piece implant with all the prosthetic options that you have, that it is as stable and as reliable as like a 1-piece implant, because our connection, the conical connection that connects the force between the abutment and the implant, it's 3.1 millimeters long. So this is, considering the standard length of the implants, this is almost like a 1-piece implant. So it's like more or less like a monolithic, but this is very specific to the K3 Pro implant system. Yeah, I cannot speak for other implant systems, and there are many implant systems, I would say, with huge movements between the abutment and the implant itself that will cause screw loosenings, that cause some fractures maybe. And in this case, if you have such an implant, I would rather prefer a 1-piece implant. So when 2-piece implant is always better, but be careful when choosing the right system. We will have a lecture about implant abutment connections in the upcoming days. That's held by our leading engineer and managing director. There he will go into this question in depth. So I would ask you to register for that webinar.
Thank you, sir. We move to the next question. Suppose I am placing 4 conical connection implants, and if one implant fails, do I need to remove all the other implants as well?
Generally speaking, no. The thing is, I mean, you have to check why this one implant failed. When you think of this case where I've showed you the X-ray in the last case, you know, after immediate placement, the main question is in cases like this, when you want to have a screw retain solutions on 4 implants, the main question is mostly the primer stability, because if you're placing the implant right after extraction, the question is always, do you have primer stability to do it? Yeah. If you tell when placing the implant that the bone is very, very soft, you need to go for a larger diameter within the surgery. But generally speaking, the design is, if you have a very, very well osseointegration and one implant has really failed, and the 3 implants can handle the forces. Well, with my system, I'm very, very optimistic that we can handle the forces because they are placed deep and they have this bony seal around them. So in case one implant fails, I don't think that you would need to remove the whole restoration. But in case you need to remove it, an advantage of a screw retain solution is that you can lose the screws again, yeah, and place a 4th or maybe a 5th implant at a different position, and you can do again on an impression taken on abutment level again. You can leave, in this case that I've shown you, you can leave the abutments like they were of the 3 implants that are working and place a 4th implant and a 5th maybe, and do again an impression on abutment level on all the 4 or 5 implants then. This will work. I'm very optimistic.
Thank you, sir. Last question. How do we know if this system is compatible to all implant systems?
Well, I mean, it depends. I have had in Germany, of course, many cases where the patient has some old implants that were still working. I mean, they have still, most of the implants of the older generation have some bone loss and gingival loss, but they were still, if they are long, they are well osseograded normally at the apical aspect. And normally what the dentist did is to place a K3 Pro implant or many K3 Pro implants, and also take an impression post, the standard classic impression post, again for the remaining implant of the other companies. I mean, the question is only, what I would suggest, if you can place the K3 Pro, that you can do the impression on the abutment level, like I've shown you with the preform abutments for the cemented solutions. Take for the remaining implants of the other companies a standard impression post from them, because normally they don't offer impression taken on abutment level, and use an individual tray for it. And then this normally works very well. I did not have any issues on it. Of course, if you want to design a bar connecting all these, it's of course recommendable to have the same abutment style on the bar. But generally speaking, this should also work. So when there are already implants of a different company, I wouldn't say that this is a hurdle to switch to another implant system. Yeah, generally you just need to use their instruments or their I would say devices when doing the impression again. You should remove the crown, of course, that is on the other implants. But this is according to the case. Yeah, but it's not a general, it's not forbidden by general principle. It works very, very well. I had hundreds of cases in my years of experience.
Thank you, sir. Last question before we wind up the session. a question that I've received on the other social media that we are live on. The question is as follows. Can you please tell us in brief the unique features of 1.5 degree Morse taper conical connection?
Yeah, this refers to one question that has been asked a couple of minutes before. A 1.5 degree conical connection. This is like a cold welding. Yeah, it's a cold welding on a distance of more than 3 millimeters. So with a cold welding of more than 3 millimeters, we have the stability of a one-piece implant. Yeah? There are no ways for bacteria to intrude the inner of the implant. There is no way for bacterial settlement within the implant. So this is the best option to have long-term success concerning stable tissue. Yeah, stable hard tissue, stable soft tissue. Yeah, and it's very prone against fractures or screw loosenings because there is no force on the screw. The force is shifted on a distance of 3 millimeters length. And this is very, very, very unique. Yeah, and you can, with a shorter conical connection or a less steep conical connection, you cannot really do a cold welding. So cold welding also works, if, for example, if you're producing engine shafts in large motors. Yeah, they work in ships. 1.5 conical connection is also used to mount engines on airplane wings. So in any case, you want to avoid load on the screw. Yeah, this is where you're choosing a 1.5 conical connection, and we have adapted this exclusively for implantology.